Chosen one, are you tired of waiting for God to remember your name? Have you been praying the same prayer for 30, 40, maybe 50 years, wondering if heaven has your address wrong? Do you wake up at 3 a.m. with that ache in your chest, whispering, "Lord, everyone else seems to get their breakthrough, but what about me?" Stop, right there. What if I told you that every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every season of silence wasn't God forgetting you, but God preparing you? What if the very delays that broke your heart were actually heaven's way of saying, "Not yet, beloved. You're not ready for what I'm about to do"? Listen to me carefully. Some of you have been carrying something in your heart for decades, a question you never say out loud. Lord, did you forget me? The answer will shock you. He didn't forget you. He's been hiding you, like a master jeweler keeps his most precious diamond in the vault until the perfect moment to reveal its brilliance. You weren't overlooked, you were preserved. If this stirs something deep in your spirit right now, if something ancient is awakening in your chest, say it out loud, right where you are. I am chosen. Don't just think it, speak it, write it down. Mark this moment. Because you didn't find this message by accident. This message found you. Your life has felt like a movie where the director stepped away, hasn't it? The set's been quiet, the cameras stopped rolling. You've been standing there in the silence wondering if the story was over. But hear me clearly, God's been the director all along, and today the cameras roll again. You're about to step into the scene you were born to play. Before we go deeper into this life-altering revelation, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith. But listen, before this message ends, I'm going to reveal the 3 unmistakable signs that God is about to do something massive in your life. Signs so clear, so undeniable, that you'll never question His timing again. And more importantly, I'll show you the one thing you must do right now to position yourself for what's coming. Because, chosen one, your season of waiting is over. The time has come, and what God is about to unleash in your life will leave everyone who counted you out absolutely speechless. Stay with me, your breakthrough is closer than you think. How many funerals have you attended where you whispered, "That should have been my breakthrough"? How many times have you watched someone half your age walk into the destiny you've been praying for since the Carter administration? How many nights have you stared at the ceiling, wondering if God's GPS lost track of your address somewhere between your 20s and your 70s? Listen to me, dear one. Many of you here, you've buried dreams deeper than you've buried loved ones. You've stood at gravesides not just of people you cherished, but of plans you thought God had promised. Business ventures that crumbled, marriages that withered, children who walked away, health that betrayed you. And yet you're still here. Still breathing, still believing, even when belief feels like carrying water in a basket. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. You see, the enemy has been running a masterful deception campaign against God's chosen ones for decades. He's convinced an entire generation of believers that gray hair means God's done with you, that Medicare eligibility equals spiritual retirement, that your 70s and 80s are just a slow countdown to glory instead of a countdown to your greatest assignment. But I'm here tonight to demolish that lie with the sledgehammer of biblical truth. Moses was 80 years old, 80, when God met him at that burning bush. Picture this: a man collecting Social Security, walking with a staff not for authority but for balance, tending sheep because his resume for leading nations had expired 40 years earlier. The world would have put him in assisted living. God put him in front of Pharaoh. "Who am I to go to Pharaoh?" Moses stammered. God's response wasn't about Moses' age or ability, it was about presence. I will be with you. Exodus 3:12. Your qualification isn't your birth certificate, it's his companionship. Anna, the prophetess, understood this secret. Luke 2:36 tells us she was 84 years old, widowed after just 7 years of marriage, spending decades in the temple waiting for one moment, the moment she would see the Messiah. 84 years of preparation for one divine encounter. But when that baby Jesus was brought to the temple, she didn't see him and think, "I'm too old for this." She proclaimed him to everyone in Jerusalem who was looking for redemption. Your waiting wasn't wasted, it was worship. But here's what cuts deeper than any surgeon's knife. Society has programmed you to believe that your struggles disqualify you instead of authenticate you. They've convinced you that because you've been through hell, you can't carry heaven. Because you've been broken, you can't be blessed. Because you've been delayed, you've been denied. That's spiritual malpractice. Joseph knew something about delay. 17 when he received his dreams. 30 when he stood before Pharaoh. 13 years of slavery, false accusations, and forgotten promises. 13 years of people saying, "If God really called you, why are you in a pit? If you're really anointed, why are you in prison?" But Genesis 41-46 records the moment everything shifted. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Not 17, 30. Because the boy who had the dream wasn't ready for the palace. The man who survived the prison was. Every betrayal taught him discernment. Every injustice built his character. Every year in that dungeon was developing the wisdom he'd need to save nations. The delay wasn't punishment. It was preparation for promotion beyond his wildest imagination. Right now, some of you are thinking, "But I'm not 30. I'm 70. I'm 80. I missed my window." Stop right there. You didn't miss your window. You've been refined for a different view. While Joseph saved Egypt from famine, you've been prepared to save families from spiritual starvation. While Moses delivered Israel from bondage, you've been equipped to deliver your bloodline from generational curses. While Anna recognized the Messiah, you've been positioned to recognize when God moves in this final hour. The enemy whispers, "Your time has passed," but God thunders back, "Your time is now." You know why hell fought you so hard in your 50s, 60s, and 70s? Because the devil has a calendar too. He knows that wisdom plus anointing equals danger to his kingdom. He knows that when someone who's been through the fire finally steps into their calling, they don't just burn, they become an inferno that spreads from house to house, heart to heart, generation to generation. Your pain wasn't pointless, it was prophetic. Every tear you've cried has been collected in heaven's bottles. Every prayer you've whispered has been recorded in eternal archives. Every time you chose faith over fear, hope over despair, love over bitterness, you were qualifying for an assignment that requires someone unbreakable. The world sees your wrinkles and thinks decline. God sees your wrinkles and reads the story of someone who refused to quit when quitting made sense. Society measures your worth by your productivity. Heaven measures your power by your proven faithfulness through decades of testing. Write this down, and I want you to write it in permanent ink and put it where you'll see it tomorrow morning. Delay is not denial. Say it with me. Delay is not denial. Your breakthrough wasn't late. It was marinating. Your healing wasn't slow. It was being seasoned. Your calling wasn't cancelled. It was being crafted for maximum impact at minimum resistance. But here's the question that will haunt you or heal you. If God has been preparing you all these years for something massive, something that requires every scar, every struggle, every sleepless night you've endured, will you step into it, or will you let the world convince you it's too late? Because what I'm about to reveal next will prove that your greatest days aren't behind you, they're breathing down your neck, demanding your attention, and calling your name with the voice of the Almighty Himself. You know what breaks my heart? It's when I meet someone who's carried God's fingerprints their entire life but never recognized them. Someone who's been walking around with divine DNA coursing through their veins, thinking they're ordinary when heaven itself has been watching their every move. Listen to me, chosen one. You didn't just wake up one day and decide to seek God. He marked you before your first breath. And if you're still here, still standing after everything you've been through, it's because you carry something the enemy has been trying to destroy for decades. There are 3 unmistakable marks that prove you're not just another face in the crowd. 3 spiritual signatures that God Himself etched into your soul. And if you recognize even one of these in your life, everything about your struggle is about to make sense. Mark number 1. Spiritual discernment. You feel things others can't feel, don't you? You walk into a room and immediately sense the spiritual temperature. You know when someone's lying before they finish their sentence. You've had dreams that came true, visions that felt more real than reality itself. Your family probably called you too sensitive. They said you read too much into things, that you saw problems where none existed. But what they didn't understand is that God gave you prophet's eyes in a world full of spiritual blindness. Elisha had this same gift. 2 Kings chapter 6 tells us he could hear conversations whispered in enemy bedrooms miles away. The king of Syria was furious, thinking there was a spy in his ranks. But his servants told him the truth. Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. That's you, beloved. You're picking up frequencies from the throne room, while others are stuck on AM radio. You sense the presence of evil before it manifests. You feel God's peace before He moves. You know things you've never been taught because your spirit is tuned to heaven's broadcast. But here's what nobody told you about this gift. It comes with a price. You've been carrying burdens that weren't yours to carry. You've been interceding for people who will never know you saved them. You've been fighting battles in the spirit realm while living in a world that doesn't even believe spiritual warfare exists. Mark number 2. Drawing the pure. Hearted. Children run to you, don't they? Even when you think you're having a bad day, babies smile at you. Animals gravitate toward your presence. The broken, the hurting, the humble, they pour out their deepest secrets to you in grocery store checkout lines. That's not charm, dear one. That's frequency. That's the oil of God's presence flowing through your very being. Daniel carried this same anointing. Even in exile, even in a foreign land that hated his God, Daniel chapter 1 verse 9 tells us God had caused the official to show favor and compassion to Daniel. It wasn't Daniel's resume that opened doors. It wasn't his political connections. It was the presence of the Almighty radiating through his life. You bring peace by walking into chaos. You calm storms with your silence. You've probably never realized it, but you're carrying something so rare, so precious, that creation itself recognizes it. That stray dog that won't leave your yard, that angry customer who somehow softens when you're helping them. They're responding to the same thing. The wise men followed the presence of divinity wrapped in humanity. But here's the mystery that will blow your mind. While you're comforting others, who's comforting you? While you're pouring out peace, who's filling your cup? You've become so accustomed to being the healer that you've forgotten you need healing too. Mark number 3. Creative authority. What you think becomes reality. What you speak comes to pass. What you declare in prayer shifts the spiritual atmosphere around you. Others call it coincidence, but you know better. Your words carry weight because they're backed by heaven's authority. When you bless someone, they prosper. When you pray for healing, bodies respond. When you speak life over a situation, death has to flee. Joseph understood this power. His dreams didn't just predict Egypt's future, they shaped it. Genesis chapter 41 shows us how Joseph's visions became the strategy that saved nations. One man's thoughts, aligned with God's mind, altered the course of history. Your mind is a co-creation chamber with the Almighty. That idea that keeps coming back to you, that vision that won't leave you alone, that's not wishful thinking, that's prophetic downloading. These marks aren't decorations on a crown, beloved. They are weapons in a soldier's hands. And now you understand why your battles have been fiercer than others. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on empty vessels. He attacks those carrying the most oil. Every rejection you faced was because your light exposed their darkness. Every betrayal you've endured was because your purity threatened their compromise. Every closed door was hell's attempt to keep you from the rooms where your authority would shift everything. But here's what the enemy never counted on. Persecution doesn't destroy the marked ones, it purifies them. Every attack only made your anointing stronger. Every trial only increased your authority. Every season of silence only deepened your intimacy with God. If you recognize even one of these marks in your life, if something in your spirit is saying, "That's me," then type it, speak it, declare it right now. I am marked by God. Don't whisper it. Declare it with the authority of someone who's been chosen before the foundation of the world. Because in just a moment, I'm going to show you how to activate these marks fully. How to step into such divine authority that doors open without you knocking, that favor follows you into every room, that your very presence becomes a portal for the supernatural. But first, you need to understand why God waited until now. Why this season? Why this moment to reveal what's been hidden in you all along? You know what nobody tells you about being chosen? They don't warn you about the war that comes before the victory. They don't tell you that the closer you get to your destiny, the fiercer hell fights to stop you. Look at your life right now. Really look at it. Have relationships suddenly turned cold? Have doors slammed shut just when breakthrough seemed certain? Has your body betrayed you with unexplained illness? Has money dried up like a desert well? You thought something was wrong with you. You whispered, "Maybe I'm not chosen after all. Maybe God changed his mind." Listen to me, warrior. Hell doesn't waste ammunition on people with no purpose. The enemy doesn't deploy his finest demons against ordinary lives. He doesn't orchestrate elaborate schemes to destroy people who pose no threat to his kingdom. But you've been in his crosshairs since the day you were born because he saw what God placed inside you before you even knew it existed. Every attack you've endured is evidence. Every betrayal is proof. Every setback is confirmation that you carry something so dangerous to darkness that hell mobilized its forces just to stop you. Think about David standing before Goliath. 9 feet, 6 inches of pure terror mocking the armies of Israel. But David didn't see a giant. He saw a target. He said, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." That wasn't courage, that was recognition. David recognized that giants only appear when God is about to do something massive. Your giants aren't accidents, they're announcements. Consider Esther, an orphan girl who became queen, only to discover that her entire people faced genocide. She could have stayed silent, stayed safe, but Mordecai told her, "Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" The threat wasn't random. It was orchestrated to position her for her greatest moment. Your threats aren't random either. They're positioning you. Even Elijah, the man who called down fire from heaven, found himself under a broom tree begging God to let him die. One day he's defeating 450 prophets of Baal. The next he's running for his life from one woman's threat. But God didn't rebuke him. God fed him. God strengthened him. God gave him a new assignment. Your breakdowns aren't disqualifications. They're divine downloads. Here's what the enemy knows that you're just discovering. The darker the night, the closer the dawn. And right now, beloved, the horizon is starting to glow. Every financial attack that should have destroyed you, but didn't, that was supernatural preservation. Every health battle that should have taken you out, but couldn't, that was divine protection. Every relationship that crumbled when you needed it most, that was God removing what would have held you back from your destiny. You've been asking, why me? Why is this so hard? Why do I have to fight for everything while others seem to glide through life? Wrong question. The right question is, what am I carrying that hell is so desperate to stop? Because here's the revelation that will change everything. The enemy's fiercest attacks are God's loudest confirmations. When Pharaoh heard that Hebrew slaves were multiplying, he ordered every baby boy thrown into the Nile. Why? Because he sensed a deliverer was coming. When Herod learned of Jesus' birth, he massacred every child in Bethlehem under 2 years old. Why? Because hell recognized the threat. Your warfare isn't proof you're cursed. It's proof you're commissioned. The isolation you felt, it was God separating you from influences that would corrupt your calling. The financial pressure, it was stripping away your reliance on earthly security, so you'd learn to trust heaven's unlimited resources. The health battles, they were building supernatural strength in your spirit, while weakness attacked your flesh. Every night you've cried yourself to sleep, wondering if God forgot you. He was standing guard over the treasure He placed inside you. Every moment you wanted to quit but couldn't, that was divine stubbornness flowing through your bloodstream. Every time you should have broken but bent instead, that was evidence you're not made of earthly materials. You're forged from eternal substance. But here's what breaks my heart. Some of you are about to give up just miles before your promised land. You're so focused on the giants in front of you that you can't see the victory behind them. You're so tired from the fight that you're considering surrender just before the breakthrough. Don't you dare. Job lost everything: wealth, children, health, friends' support. His wife told him to curse God and die. But Job declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." And God restored double everything he'd lost. Your restoration isn't coming. It's here. It's been building in the invisible realm while you've been bleeding in the visible one. Right now, I want you to do something that will shift the spiritual atmosphere over your life. Think back to the moment you almost gave up. That night you wanted to end it all. That morning you couldn't get out of bed. That day you whispered, "I can't do this anymore." Write it down. Remember the exact moment when hell thought it had won. Now say these words out loud, with every ounce of strength in your body. I'm still standing. Say it again. Louder. I'm still standing. That's not just a declaration. That's a war cry. That's you announcing to every demon in hell that their best shot wasn't good enough. That's you telling the enemy he picked a fight with the wrong chosen one. Because if you're still here after everything you've been through, it means God has something for you that requires everything you've survived to carry. The question that will determine your entire future is this: will you let the resistance stop you, or will you let it reveal who you really are? Chosen one, everything has led to this moment. The waiting, the wondering, the sleepless nights questioning if God still sees you, it all stops here. Because what I'm about to give you isn't just information, it's activation. The sacred roadmap to step into the massive move God has been orchestrating behind the scenes of your life. But first, let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many more years are you going to waste believing the lie that your season has passed? How many more months will you let fear convince you that God's promises are for everyone else but you? How much longer will you accept crumbs when God has prepared a feast? The enemy has been whispering the same deception for decades. You're too old. You missed your window. God's moved on. But that's not just a lie, it's blasphemy against the God who called Abraham at 75, Moses at 80, and Anna the prophetess at 84. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. Here's the shocking truth nobody wants to tell you. God has been waiting for you to get desperate enough to trust Him completely. Not halfway, not when it's convenient, completely. Because what He's about to release requires a vessel that's been emptied of self-reliance and filled with holy surrender. The time for passive faith is over. The season of maybe someday just died. Today, this very moment, God is calling you to activate 3 sacred actions that will ignite the massive breakthrough He's been preparing. First, rest in trust, stop striving, so God can move. I know this sounds backwards. Everything in your flesh is screaming, I need to do something, I need to fix this, I need to make it happen. But listen to what Isaiah 30:15 declares. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. You've been trying to push open doors that God wants to blow off their hinges. You've been rowing upstream when God wants to turn you into a mighty river. The most powerful thing you can do right now is stop. Stop striving. Stop forcing. Stop trying to convince God to move on your timeline. When you rest in trust, you're not being passive, you're being prophetic. You're declaring that your God is bigger than your circumstances. You're announcing that His timing is perfect, even when it feels painful. You're activating the same faith that parted the Red Sea and raised the dead. Second, speak the promise words as seeds. Your mouth has been your enemy for too long. You've been speaking your fears instead of your faith. You've been confessing your problems instead of God's promises. But Proverbs 18:21 reminds us that death and life are in the power of the tongue. Your words aren't just sounds, they're seeds. And whatever you plant with your mouth, you will harvest in your life. Stop saying I'm too old and start declaring God's best is yet to come. Stop whispering, maybe I missed it, and start shouting, my breakthrough is here. Stop confessing nothing ever works out for me, and start proclaiming all things work together for my good, because I love God and I'm called according to His purpose. Every morning, before your feet hit the floor, I want you to speak 3 promises over your life. Not wishes, not hopes, promises. Because when you align your mouth with heaven's plans, the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your declaration. Third, step in obedience. Small steps ignite big miracles. God isn't asking you to climb Mount Everest tomorrow. He's asking you to take the next step. The step that's been staring you in the face for months. The phone call you've been avoiding. The conversation you've been dreading. The application you've been postponing. The forgiveness you've been withholding. Remember, when Peter stepped out of that boat, he didn't leap, he stepped. 1 foot, then another. And that single step of obedience turned an ordinary fisherman into a miracle-walking disciple. Your breakthrough isn't waiting for a giant leap of faith. It's waiting for your next small step of obedience. Think of it like a rocket countdown. You don't light the engines at 1, you prepare at 10. Every small act of obedience is another number in the countdown. 9, 8, 7. With each step, the power builds, the momentum increases. And when God says, now, the explosion will be so magnificent that everyone watching will know this could only be divine. But here's the urgency that should grip your soul. This window won't stay open forever. The same God who hardened Pharaoh's heart can close opportunities when seasons end. The Bible warns us to seek the Lord while He may be found. Not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, this is your divine appointment with destiny. Picture yourself 1 year from now walking in answered prayer so massive, so undeniable, that people stop you on the street asking, how did this happen? What changed? And you'll smile with the quiet confidence of someone who knows what it means to partner with the Almighty, and you'll say, God and I, we built this together. But that future version of you is standing at the crossroads of your obedience today. Every choice you make in the next 24 hours will either move you toward that miracle or away from it. There is no neutral ground. You're either moving toward your destiny or drifting away from it. The one thing you must do right now, not later, not tomorrow, not when you feel more spiritual, is respond immediately to the nudge you feel in your spirit. That stirring in your chest isn't coincidence. It's God calling you forward, and your response to that call will determine whether you step into the massive move He's prepared or watch from the sidelines as someone else takes your place. If you're saying yes to God's massive move in your life, if you're ready to stop playing small and start walking in the supernatural, declare it right now. I say yes. Don't just think it. Don't just feel it. Say it out loud where you are. Write it in the comments. Let heaven know that you're done with mediocrity and ready for miracles. Because, chosen one, your countdown has begun. And when God says, now, nothing in hell or earth will be able to stop what He's about to release through your surrendered life. The question is, are you ready to stop being a spectator and become a participant in the greatest move of God your generation will ever witness. Beloved, we've journeyed together through valleys of doubt and mountains of revelation. Your heart has been stirred, your spirit awakened, and now we stand at the threshold of your divine appointment. But before I release you into your destiny, there's something burning in my spirit that I must declare over your life. Remember what I asked you at the very beginning of this sacred encounter. Lord, did you forget me? Now you know the truth that will shatter every lie the enemy has whispered in your ear for decades. The answer was never silence, it was strategy. God wasn't ignoring your cries. He was orchestrating your calling. Every tear you shed in the midnight hour was collected in heaven's bottles. Every prayer you whispered when hope seemed dead was recorded in eternal archives. Every moment you felt invisible was actually God making you invincible. He wasn't withholding your blessing. He was preparing you to carry a weight of glory that would have crushed the person you used to be. Look at Moses, 80 years old when God called him from a burning bush. 80. The world would have written him off as past his prime, but heaven was just getting started. Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? Moses asked in Exodus 3:11. Sound familiar? That's the same question echoing in your heart right now. But God's response to Moses is his response to you. I will be with you. You think your age disqualifies you? Abraham was 75 when God promised him nations. Sarah was 90 when she birthed the impossible. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." Your gray hair isn't evidence of decline, it's a crown of wisdom. Your wrinkles aren't signs of wear, they're marks of warfare. You've survived what should have destroyed you because God has been preparing you for this hour. But here's what's going to shock you to your core. The enemy has been terrified of this moment for decades. Every attack you've endured, every setback you've faced, every door that slammed in your face wasn't random. It was strategic warfare against your destiny. Satan knew that if you ever fully awakened to who you are, if you ever stepped into the authority God placed in your DNA, his kingdom would tremble. That depression that nearly took you out, it was hell trying to silence the voice that's about to speak life into dead situations. That financial struggle that left you counting pennies, it was the enemy trying to make you believe you're not worthy of abundance. That betrayal that shattered your trust, it was darkness attempting to isolate you from the very people you're called to lead. But you're still here. After everything hell threw at you, you're still breathing. That's not luck, that's divine protection over someone carrying a dangerous anointing. Right now, as I speak these words over your life, something is shifting in the spiritual realm. I can feel it. Angels are taking new positions around your circumstances. Demons that have harassed your family for generations are being bound and cast out. Doors that have been sealed are creaking open. Resources that have been withheld are being released. You were chosen before the foundation of the world to carry light into this generation's darkness. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Today. Your children need to see what faith looks like when it's been tested by fire. Your grandchildren need to witness what happens when someone refuses to quit on God's promises. Your community needs to experience the authority that flows through someone who has walked with the Almighty through every season. The Bible declares in Isaiah 60:1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This isn't just a nice verse, this is your commissioning order. You are being commanded to arise. Not suggested, not invited, commanded. You've been in training long enough. You've been in the wilderness long enough. You've been waiting long enough. The Father is saying to you what he said to his Son, "This is my beloved child, in whom I am well pleased." You have his approval. You have his authority. You have his assignment. From this moment forward, you don't walk as someone hoping for breakthrough. You walk as someone who is the breakthrough. You don't speak as someone begging for favor. You speak with the authority of someone who carries favor. You don't move as someone looking for their purpose. You move as someone whose purpose is looking for them. Let me pray over you right now with the authority of 5 decades walking with the Most High. Father, I release your chosen one into their destiny. Break every chain of doubt, fear, and insignificance that has held them back. Fill them with supernatural boldness to speak when you tell them to speak, move when you tell them to move, and stand when hell tells them to fall. Give them clarity to see opportunities, wisdom to make decisions, and courage to take territory. Let their latter days be greater than their former days. In Jesus' mighty name. You are not just surviving your final chapters, you are writing your greatest chapters. The world is about to witness what happens when someone who has been refined by fire finally steps into their full authority. Your testimony will become someone else's hope. Your breakthrough will become their blueprint. Your victory will become their motivation. Chosen one, God's not asking if you're ready. He's telling you it's time. Don't walk away from this moment untouched. Share this message with someone who needs to be reminded that their story isn't over. And from this day forward, walk like you've already won, because you have. Last time, you were commissioned. Heaven opened its vault, poured out revelation, and declared your identity as chosen. But what happens after the commissioning? What comes after the awakening? The battlefield looks quiet now. But heaven is moving. It's quiet now, but not for long. It's quiet now, but not for long. It's quiet now, but not for long. You feel it, don't you? That strange stillness settling over your life like morning mist. Your phone isn't ringing with opportunities. Your bank account isn't suddenly overflowing. Your health challenges haven't magically disappeared. And you're wondering, did I imagine it all? Was that divine encounter real, or was I just desperate for hope? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. This silence isn't God's absence, it's His strategy. Like the ocean pulling back before a tsunami, exposing the ocean floor that's been hidden for decades, God's been pulling you back, stripping away everything you thought defined you, only to launch you farther than you thought possible. The greater the pullback, the more devastating the wave. You see, most people think God's delays are God's denials. They think silence means He's moved on to someone younger, someone more qualified, someone who hasn't made the mistakes you've made. But that's human thinking. Divine strategy operates by completely different laws. Remember the walls of Jericho? For 6 days, nothing happened. 6 days of marching in circles while those massive walls stood there, mocking their faith. Can you imagine what Joshua's army was thinking by day 5? Are we just walking in circles? Has God forgotten His promise? Maybe we heard Him wrong. But Joshua knew something they didn't. He understood that divine timing isn't measured in human impatience. It's measured in perfect orchestration. Because on the 7th day, when the shout went up, those walls didn't just crack. They didn't slowly crumble. They collapsed instantly, completely, supernaturally. Your 7th day is coming. But here's what terrifies the enemy about your silent season. While you think nothing's happening, everything is happening. While you see stillness, heaven sees setup. While you feel forgotten, you're being positioned for the greatest comeback in your family's history. Think about David hiding in those caves, Saul hunting him like a wild animal, years of running, hiding, wondering if Samuel's anointing was just wishful thinking. But every day in those caves, God was doing something David couldn't see. He was killing the pride that would have destroyed the king. He was building the humility that would sustain the throne. He was forging the character that could handle a kingdom. Your cave isn't your punishment, beloved. It's your preparation. The prophet Habakkuk cried out in Habakkuk 2-3, "Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." Did you catch that? It will not delay. Not maybe. Not if you're good enough. It will certainly come. But here's the part that will blow your mind. God isn't just preparing your breakthrough. He's preparing you for your breakthrough. Because what's coming is so massive, so overwhelming, so beyond anything you've ever experienced, that if it came before this silent season, it would destroy you. You think you've been waiting for God to move. But God's been waiting for you to mature, waiting for you to develop the spiritual muscle to carry the weight of His favor, waiting for you to build the character foundation that can sustain supernatural blessing without cracking under the pressure. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before God called him from the burning bush. 40 years. But when Pharaoh finally met Moses, he wasn't meeting a prince who'd been pampered in the palace. He was meeting a man who'd been forged in the desert heat, who'd learned to hear God's voice above the silence, who carried authority that could split seas and command plagues. Your wilderness wasn't wasted time. It was divine development. And now, right now, as I speak these words, something is shifting in the spiritual atmosphere over your life. The enemy knows it. That's why the attacks have been so intense lately. That's why doubt has been screaming so loud in your mind. That's why it feels like everything's falling apart just when you thought things were finally getting better. But Job 14:7 declares, "At least there is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again, and its new growth will not fail." You thought those closed doors killed your dreams. But God was just pruning the tree, and what's about to sprout from your life will be stronger, more beautiful, more fruitful than anything you lost. The silence you're experiencing isn't empty space, it's loaded silence. It's pregnant pause. It's the deep breath before the shout that brings down walls. And chosen one, your walls are about to fall. But there's something you need to understand about the next phase of your journey, something that will determine whether you step into this breakthrough or miss it entirely. Because God is about to move, but He's looking for those who recognize the signs, who understand the season, who position themselves to receive what He's about to release. What are those signs? What should you be watching for in the next 7 days that will confirm your wave is building? How do you position yourself so, when the tsunami of God's favor hits, you're not swept away but lifted up? That's exactly what we're going to uncover next. Dear chosen one, let me tell you something that will shake you to your very core. You think your life has been a series of random events, don't you? You think those decades of struggle, those years of waiting, those seasons when God seemed silent, you think it was all just chance? You're wrong. God didn't just choose you for a role in His grand design. He wrote your role into His eternal script before the foundations of the earth were laid, before the first star ignited, before time itself began ticking. Your name, your story, your very breath, it was all penned in heaven's blueprint, when the universe was still just a thought in the Almighty's mind. But here's what will blow your mind wide open. That blueprint, it's been hidden, locked away, invisible to human eyes, even invisible to your eyes, until now. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you cried out, "God, what's my purpose? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do with my life?" How many sleepless nights have you spent wondering if you missed your calling, if you took a wrong turn somewhere along the way? But what if I told you that every single step, even the ones that felt like stumbles, were already mapped out in heaven's war room? What if every tear you shed was anticipated? What if every trial you endured was strategically placed? It was written before you wept. It was written before you waited. It was written before you were wounded. The prophet Jeremiah heard it straight from God's mouth. "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." But let me tell you what God is whispering to your spirit right now, in this very moment. Before I formed you, I saw this day. Before you took your first breath, I knew you'd be sitting here, reading these words, finally ready to see the blueprint I've been protecting. You see, beloved, God's been playing chess while the enemy's been playing checkers. While Satan thought he was destroying your life with setbacks and heartaches, God was actually using every single attack to reveal more of your blueprint. It's like holding a treasure map written in invisible ink, the kind that only appears under fire. And you've been through the fire, haven't you? Oh, how you've been through the fire. That divorce that nearly destroyed you. The ink appeared. That financial ruin that left you broken. More ink appeared. That health scare that made you question everything. Even more ink became visible. that betrayal by someone you trusted. The map got clearer. Every trial was heaven's heat lamp, revealing another piece of your divine blueprint. And now, right now, in this moment, the entire map is finally visible. But here's what's going to shock you. The enemy can see other people's plans. He can sabotage visible strategies. He can intercept known missions. But he cannot stop a blueprint he's never even seen. For 70 years, 80 years, maybe 90 years, God has been keeping your true assignment hidden in plain sight. This is not just divine guidance, chosen one. This is military-grade spiritual strategy. You think David knew he was being prepared to kill Goliath when he was just a shepherd boy protecting sheep from lions and bears? You think Moses understood he was in boot camp for 40 years in the wilderness, learning to hear God's voice above the desert winds? You think Esther realized she was being positioned to save an entire nation when she was just an orphan girl? None of them saw the blueprint while they were living it. But looking back, every piece fit perfectly into God's master plan. And that's exactly what's happening to you right now. You're finally getting to see the blueprint. All those years of preparation, all those seasons of testing, all those moments when you felt forgotten. They weren't random. They were strategic. They were necessary. They were turning you into the exact person God needs for what He's about to unleash in your life. But here's the urgency you need to understand. Blueprints have timing. Construction projects have deadlines. Divine assignments have appointed seasons. And your season, the season you've been unknowingly preparing for your entire life, it's here, it's now, it's today. This isn't just another inspirational message to make you feel better about your past. This is a divine intelligence briefing. This is heaven's classified information being declassified specifically for you, specifically for this moment, specifically because the time has come for you to step into the role you were scripted to play before the world began. The question that should be burning in your chest right now is this: what happens when someone finally sees their divine blueprint clearly? What happens when all the scattered pieces of their life suddenly form a perfect picture? What happens when they realize that everything they thought was working against them was actually working for them? If you believe, if something deep in your spirit is confirming that God's blueprint for your life is unfolding right now, that the invisible ink is finally visible, that the master plan is in motion, then declare it, type it, speak it with authority. The plan is in motion. Because what I'm about to reveal next will show you exactly what that plan looks like when it activates, and why everything in your life is about to shift in ways you never imagined possible. Blueprints are given before construction, and construction always begins with demolition. Dear chosen one, what you're experiencing right now isn't random chaos, it's divine disruption. God is shaking everything in your life that can be shaken, not to destroy you, but to reveal what's eternally unshakable within you. Look around your life right now. Your finances are unstable, your health is uncertain, relationships you counted on have crumbled, the ground beneath your feet feels like quicksand. You wake up each morning wondering what else will fall apart today. But what if I told you that every earthquake in your existence has been orchestrated by heaven itself? Hebrews 12:27 declares with thunderous authority, "The removing of what can be shaken, so that what cannot be shaken may remain." God isn't playing games with your peace. He's the master demolition expert, tearing down everything built on sand so He can anchor you in bedrock that will never move. You've been asking God, why is everything falling apart? But God is asking you, why are you still holding on to what was never meant to last? That job that defined your worth for 30 years gone. That marriage you thought would last forever shattered. That retirement plan you trusted vanished. That health you took for granted failing. Shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it off. Every false foundation in your life is crumbling right now, and you think it's the end of your story. But this is where your real story begins. God is shaking the ground beneath what's false, so He can anchor you in what's unshakable. The fear that's been your companion for decades, shake it off. The regret that plays on repeat in your mind every night, shake it off. The shame that whispers you're too old, too broken, too forgotten, shake it off. You're not losing everything, beloved. You're being liberated from everything that was keeping you small. Think about the Israelites at the Red Sea. Behind them, Pharaoh's army. In front of them, impossible waters, trapped, terrified, convinced they were about to die. But Moses lifted that staff, and the very thing that looked like their destruction became their deliverance. The sea didn't just part, it stood up like walls of crystal, creating a highway through the impossible. Your Red Sea moment is here, right now, today. The shaking you're experiencing isn't God's punishment, it's God's preparation. He's creating a highway through your impossibility. But you have to stop running from the shaking and start walking through it. Listen to me carefully. Every giant corporation was once shaken by crisis. Every great leader was forged in the fire of uncertainty. Every miracle in Scripture was preceded by a moment when everything looked hopeless. David faced Goliath when he was just a teenager with a slingshot. The entire army of Israel was paralyzed with fear. But David saw something they couldn't see. He saw that the giant wasn't there to destroy him. The giant was there to promote him. One stone, one shot, one God. And the enemy that looked undefeatable became the stepping stone to the throne. Your Goliath isn't your enemy. Your Goliath is your promotion. But here's what separates the chosen from the confused. The chosen ones don't fear the shaking because they know the builder. While others panic when their temporary securities crumble, you rest in the knowledge that your foundation is Christ Himself. The rock that cannot be moved, cannot be shaken, cannot be destroyed. The stock market crashes, but your hope doesn't crash. The economy fails, but your faith doesn't fail. Your body ages, but your spirit doesn't age. Your circumstances change, but your God doesn't change. Don't mistake the shaking for destruction. It's the sound of your foundation being secured. Right now, I need you to speak this over your life. Don't just think it. Declare it with the authority of heaven backing your words. I will not fear the shaking, because I know the builder. Say it again, louder this time. I will not fear the shaking, because I know the builder. Because what's happening in your life right now isn't the epilogue of your story, it's the prologue to your greatest chapter. The shaking isn't preparation for your funeral, it's preparation for your resurrection. But you have to understand something that will change everything about how you see this season. The shaking has a timeline. The demolition has a deadline. And when the dust settles, what emerges will be so magnificent, so unshakable, so powerfully built, that even hell itself won't be able to touch it. You've been living in structures built by human hands, human plans, human securities. But God is about to reveal what He's been building in the secret place, a life so deeply rooted in His purposes that no storm can uproot it, no enemy can destroy it, no circumstance can diminish it. The question that will determine your entire future is this: will you keep fighting the shaking, or will you finally surrender to the shaker? Because what God is about to build on your unshakable foundation will leave the world speechless, and that construction begins the moment you stop resisting the demolition. Beloved, I need you to understand something that's going to shake you to your core. For decades, you've been sitting in the audience of your own life, watching other people get called up on stage. You've been the faithful observer, the quiet supporter, the one who claps when others receive their breakthrough. But today, this very moment, God is calling you out of the audience and onto the stage. Faith isn't just heard, dear one. Faith isn't just believed. Faith is acted out. It's demonstrated. It's declared with your hands, your voice, your very being. And right now, wherever you are, whether you're sitting in your favorite chair, lying in bed, or standing in your kitchen, I want you to take part in a prophetic act that will mark this moment in eternity. Listen to me carefully. In 1 Kings chapter 18, when Elijah faced the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, he didn't just pray, he acted. He built an altar. He arranged the wood. He dug a trench. He poured water over everything until it was soaked. Every action was a declaration of faith before the fire ever fell. And when he finished his prophetic act, fire came down from heaven, so powerful it consumed not just the sacrifice, but the stones, the dust, and all the water in the trench. That same fire is waiting to fall on your life today. But first, you must perform your prophetic act. Here's what I need you to do right now. Don't wait. Don't think about it. Don't say you'll do it later. Get a piece of paper, any piece of paper, a napkin, an envelope, the back of a bill. Get a pen, a pencil, anything that writes. Hold it in your hands. Feel the weight of this moment. Now write today's date at the top. Today's exact date. But this isn't just any date you're writing. This is the timestamp of your spiritual resurrection. This is the moment when everything changes. Below that date, write these exact words. This is the day my next chapter began. Do it now. Write it, because when you put pen to paper, you're not just writing words, you're signing a covenant with heaven. You're declaring to every demonic force that has held you back, my season of defeat is over. You're announcing to every angel assigned to your life, I'm ready to receive what God has prepared. But here's the crucial part, and this is where most people miss their breakthrough. You must keep this paper visible for the next 7 days. Not hidden in a drawer, not tucked away in a book. Visible on your refrigerator, your bathroom mirror, your nightstand, somewhere you'll see it every single day. Why 7 days? Because 7 is God's number of completion. In Genesis, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th, establishing 7 as the divine cycle of completion. For the next 7 days, every time you see that paper, you're reminding heaven, I'm still believing, I'm still expecting, I'm still ready. Think about this. When Joshua and the Israelites marched around Jericho, they didn't march once and quit. They marched for 7 days. 7 complete circuits around those massive walls that seemed impossible to bring down. But on the 7th day, when they shouted with faith, those walls didn't just crack, they collapsed completely, flat, totally destroyed. Your walls are about to fall, chosen one. But you must complete your 7-day prophetic declaration. This act you're performing right now, writing that date, declaring your readiness, it's like planting a flag on new territory. You're marking the land before you see the harvest. You're claiming your inheritance before you hold it in your hands. Abraham did this when he built altars in the promised land before he possessed it. Moses did this when he held up his staff before the Red Sea parted. David did this when he picked up 5 smooth stones before facing Goliath. But let me tell you what's really happening in the spiritual realm as you write those words. Every letter you form is like a telegraph being sent to heaven. Every stroke of your pen is a signal flare shot into the atmosphere, announcing your faith. And when heaven receives your signal, things begin to move. Angels get their marching orders. Circumstances begin to shift. People who need to know your name suddenly remember it. Doors that have been rusted shut for decades start creaking open. Resources that have been locked away begin flowing in your direction. When you mark this day, you're declaring to heaven, I'm ready. And when heaven hears that declaration, when the Almighty sees your act of faith, things move. Not slowly, not gradually, suddenly, dramatically, completely. Remember what Jesus said in Matthew 17:20. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Your prophetic act today is your mustard seed, small in size, but mighty in power, simple in action, but profound in consequence. I can feel something shifting in the spiritual atmosphere right now as many of you are writing those words. There's a stirring, a movement, a divine activation taking place. The enemy is nervous. Heaven is mobilizing. And you, dear chosen one, you're stepping out of the audience and onto the stage where your breakthrough has been waiting. But understand this prophetic act isn't magic. It's not a formula. It's an expression of your faith. It's your way of saying to God, I believe you're about to do something massive in my life, and I'm positioning myself to receive it. The question that will determine everything about your next 7 days is this: will you trust God enough to act on what you can't yet see? Chosen one. We've journeyed together through the wilderness of waiting, through the valley of doubt, through the desert of delay. But look around you now. Do you feel it? The atmosphere is shifting. The very air you're breathing is charged with divine electricity. You were chosen before your first breath. You were marked before your mother knew she carried you. You were commissioned before the foundations of the world were laid. You were given the blueprint when angels were still learning their names. You stood through the shaking, when lesser souls crumbled. And now you surge. Listen to me carefully, dear one. Every grey hair on your head is a badge of honor. Every wrinkle on your face is a map of victories the enemy couldn't steal. Every sleepless night you survived was God building supernatural endurance in your spirit. You think you're getting old? No. You're getting dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Moses was 80 when God called him to split seas. Abraham was 99 when God promised him nations. Sarah laughed at 90 because she forgot that God specializes in impossible mathematics. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. Your years aren't your countdown, they're your wind-up. But here's what breaks my heart. Some of you are sitting there thinking, this sounds beautiful, but my life is a mess. My children don't call, my savings are gone, my body is failing. Stop right there. That's not your reality speaking, that's your fear talking. Job 14:7 says, "At least there is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again." You've been cut down, haven't you? Relationships severed, dreams destroyed, hope buried, but chosen one, you're not dead, you're dormant. And dormant trees that have weathered the harshest winters produce the sweetest fruit. Like a runner leaning forward at the sound of the gun, your muscles remember every mile of pain you've run, but your eyes are locked on the finish line ahead. Every trial was training, every setback was setup, every delay was divine strategy to position you for this moment. Don't slow down now, the finish line is visible. Don't look back now. Lot's wife turned to salt because she couldn't let go of yesterday's destruction to embrace tomorrow's deliverance. Don't let go now. Your hands may be trembling, but they're still holding the rope that's about to pull you out of this pit. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" God isn't recycling your old life with a fresh coat of paint. He's creating something that has never existed before. A version of you that combines the wisdom of your years with the fire of divine purpose. The enemy has been whispering, "You're too old. You've missed your chance. God's moved on to younger vessels." That's a lie from the pit of hell. Psalm 92:14 destroys that deception. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. You're not drying up, you're ripening. You're not fading out, you're coming into focus. You're not winding down, you're powering up for the greatest season of your entire existence. Right now, as these words penetrate your spirit, something ancient is stirring. That fire you thought died in 1987, it's rekindling. That dream you buried in 2003, it's resurrecting. That calling you abandoned in 2015, it's returning with compound interest. Jeremiah 1:11-12 records God asking the prophet, "What do you see?" Jeremiah answered, "I see the branch of an almond tree." And God said, "You have seen correctly, for I am watching to see that my word is fulfilled." The almond tree blooms first in spring. When everything else looks dead, it bursts into life. You are God's almond tree. While others see winter, He sees spring. While others see ending, He sees beginning. While others see retirement, He sees recruitment. The time has come. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. The wave of breakthrough you've been waiting for isn't approaching, it's here. The builder isn't coming, he's here. The blueprint isn't being drawn, it's unfolding. I need you to stand up right where you are. If you can't stand, sit up straight. If you can't sit up, lift your head and speak these words with me, out loud, with everything you have left. The time has come. The wave is mine. The builder is here. The blueprint is unfolding. I am chosen. Say it again, louder. The time has come. The wave is mine. The builder is here. The blueprint is unfolding. I am chosen. One more time, until the walls of your house shake and hell itself takes notice. The time has come. The wave is mine. The builder is here. The blueprint is unfolding. I am chosen. Do you feel that? That's not just emotion, that's activation. Heaven just stamped your spiritual passport. You're cleared for takeoff. But here's your final test, chosen one. Will you carry this fire alone, or will you pass it on? Someone in your circle, a neighbor, a family member, a friend is drowning in the same despair you just climbed out of. They need to hear that God hasn't forgotten their name. If this message lit a fire in your bones that nothing can extinguish, share it before the day ends. Don't wait for permission. Don't worry about what people will think. Someone you know is one word away from hope, and you might be the voice God uses to speak it. Your season of silence is over. Your time of hiding is finished. Your days of doubt are done. It's quiet now in your spirit. But not for long, because what God is about to release through you will echo through eternity. The time has come, chosen one. The time has come. Beloved chosen ones, as we reach the end of this sacred journey together, I need you to carry these truths with you, like precious jewels in your heart. Remember this, you were not forgotten, you were preserved. Every delay was divine strategy. Every closed door was protection from paths that would have led you away from your destiny. Your age is not your limitation, it's your qualification. The very experiences that the world calls setbacks, heaven calls setup. Remember that God's timing is not late, it's precise. Moses didn't touch his calling until 80. Abraham didn't hold his promise until 100. Your gray hair isn't evidence of missed opportunities. It's proof that you've been refined by fire and found worthy of God's greatest assignments. And remember this above all, the stirring you feel in your chest right now isn't nostalgia, it's recognition, your spirit recognizing that your season of waiting is over and your time of manifestation has begun. But hear me clearly, dear one, you are not walking this path alone. Even when the road feels uncertain, even when doubt whispers lies in your ear, the Creator of the universe is orchestrating every detail of your breakthrough. He sees every tear you've cried in secret. He's counted every prayer you've whispered in the dark. He knows your name, your story, and your destiny. And beyond God's presence, you have something beautiful right here, a community. Look around these comments, see these hearts connecting, feel these spirits resonating. Thousands of chosen ones just like you, carrying the same calling, feeling the same fire, walking the same sacred path. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're family in the spirit. So let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your soul. Now that you know who you really are, now that you understand your delays were preparation, your struggles were strengthening, your silence was positioning, how will you walk differently tomorrow morning when you wake up? Before I release you into your destiny, I want to place my hand on your shoulder through these words and pray over your life with all the authority of 5 decades walking with the Almighty. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul who has stayed with us through this entire message. Lord, you see their hearts. You know their struggles. You've witnessed their faithfulness through seasons of silence and storms of doubt. Father, I pray that you would breathe fresh wind into their weary souls tonight. Where they feel forgotten, remind them they are engraved on your palms. Where they feel finished, show them they're just getting started. Where they feel too old, reveal that they're perfectly positioned for their finest hour. God, I speak breakthrough over their finances. Open doors of provision they haven't even thought to knock on. I speak healing over their bodies. Let divine health flow through every cell, every organ, every system. I speak restoration over their relationships. Bring reconciliation where there's been division, understanding where there's been confusion, love where there's been loss. Lord, give them dreams and visions that clarify their next steps. Send divine connections that will accelerate their purpose. Remove every obstacle that would try to delay their destiny. And most of all, Father, let them feel your presence right now. Let them know in their spirit that you are proud of how they've carried what you've given them to bear. May they wake up tomorrow not as survivors, but as overcomers. Not as the forgotten, but as the favored. Not as those whose time has passed, but as those whose time has finally come. In Jesus' mighty name, and for his glory alone. Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share how God spoke to your heart today. What shifted in your spirit during this message? What are you believing God for in this season? Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Ask us to pray for specific areas of your life. This community will surround you with intercession. And if this message touched your soul, please share it with someone who needs to hear these words. There's someone in your life right now, a family member, a friend, a neighbor who's been feeling forgotten, who's been wondering if their best days are behind them. They need to know they're not alone. They need to see that God still moves in the impossible. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for letting these words penetrate the sacred chambers of your soul. Your time is precious, and you chose to invest it in seeking God's heart for your life. That tells me everything I need to know about your character and your calling. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and hit that